Yo, welcome back. Unless, of course, this is your first time, in which case, welcome. My name is Brad Martineau, and this is where we talk about how to build a smooth scaling business, where scaling means we get the results we want, and smooth means we don't have to sacrifice our life and or our soul to get it. So today what I want to do is share two of probably the most important or foundational lessons that I learned that helped me not perpetually be overwhelmed as an entrepreneur. Now, I don't know if you've ever felt overwhelmed or if you currently feel overwhelmed or feel like managing all of the moving parts of your business or businesses can be a lot. If not, well, I'd say congratulations, and this video is probably not for you. However, if you're like, I don't know, maybe the other 100% of us entrepreneurs where it can feel like a lot, sometimes we can be overwhelmed, maybe you're currently overwhelmed, or maybe you're just looking for a better, cleaner, faster, more systematic and organized way to manage your business or businesses, then I think this video will be helpful for you. So here are the lessons. Lesson number one, I call the Lego principle because I learned it while I watched my boys put together a ridiculous number of Lego sets as they were growing up. We have invested a small fortune into the company of Lego. And here's what I noticed and observed. When you get a Lego set, there's a really cool picture on the outside. Let's say you get this 1,000-piece Lego set, and you open up the box to dump the contents out. What does not come out are all the Lego pieces. Can you imagine getting 1,000 pieces dropped on the table and your 7, 8, or 9-year-old sits down to put it together and they're like, whoa, this is a lot. And then they turn to you and they're like, hey, will you put this together for me? And then I would be like, yo, that is a lot. And we would never buy another Lego set again, ever. But that's not what happens. What actually happens is out come bags, because it's a lot easier for me to manage 6 or 7 or 8 or even 10 bags rather than 1,000 pieces. So this really clicked for me and helped me realize, well, look, if there's a lot of moving pieces in my business, not unlike 1,000 Lego pieces, then really all I got to do to make it simpler is figure out what are the bags that make up my business so that when I have things I have to deal with, I'm not literally like swimming through 1,000 pieces like it can feel like as an entrepreneur. So this idea of the Lego principle is really powerful. I like to call it also modular thinking. It's the ability to take a thing, a challenge, an opportunity, a business, and break it down into the modular pieces or into the bags. It makes life way easier. It's way easier to manage. Now, the second lesson that I learned came as a result of old man knee pain. So I'm getting older, but I love basketball and I love to play. And there was a long stretch a while back where I had not played or worked out or trained or anything. And then I decided to start playing again. And normally when I do this, I'm smart and I ease my way back into playing. This time I was stupid and I did not do that. So I played 4 times over the span of like 6 days, and each time was like an hour and a half or 2 hours each. And about the 7th or 8th day when I woke up, my knees were like, you suck, we hate you, and we hurt. So I had this ridiculous pain in my patella tendon, which is the tendon just below the kneecap. So I was doing a bunch of rehab stuff. I was trying to fix the pain in my knee. I was trying to fix my knee problem. And in the middle of this, I went to a basketball camp for old people at the University of Kansas, and I was talking to the head athletic trainer there, and I was like, you work with athletes. You probably have a solution or a plan on how to fix this. So what do you do when people come in and they have patella knee pain, they have pain in their patella tendon? And he's like, well, the first thing we look at, and there might be other factors, but the first thing we look at is glute strength, as in the butt muscle. And I was like, wait, what? He's like, here's the deal. If the glute is weak, the femur, the big top part of your leg, will rotate internally, and then your knee will track off, and it'll piss off your patella tendon. It's like, that's not always the case, but that's the first thing that we look at. And then this light bulb went off for me because I recognized that the place where I have pain is not necessarily where the problem lives. So I had knee pain. I was trying to fix a knee problem, but I didn't have a knee problem. I had a glute problem. And then it took me a while, but then as I started to get back into business, I'm back from my camp, whatever, I was like, oh, the same thing applies in business. Sometimes we have a problem in one area of our business and we go to try to fix that. Sometimes we have pain in one area of our business and we try to go fix that problem in that area of our business, but the problem is actually somewhere else, which is why we don't make progress. When you combine these two lessons together, the idea of what are the Lego bags that make up my business, and then also with the idea that pain is not the same as the problem, it starts to become a lot easier to be able to manage the business because one, if I'm just proactively planning and thinking, I don't have to juggle 1,000 pieces of my business all at once. And then two, when I'm trying to diagnose what might be going wrong or where something might be off, I don't make the mistake of trying to fix a problem where the pain is when the problem is actually somewhere else. And it's easier for me to diagnose because I've got these bags, rather than being like, okay, I got pain here. Let me go look at the other 999 Lego pieces to figure out where the problem might be. It's like, no, there's like 5 or 6. So these 2 lessons are really powerful. My suggestion for you is you want to start to practice this idea of modular thinking, of what are the Lego bags that make up the thing that I'm looking at so that I can break it down into the individual pieces. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you what I believe are the 5 Lego bags that make up every single business. And then I actually believe that language matters, so I'm going to suggest that we start to call them something a little bit different. So I'll give you what I like to call them because it keeps me focused. And then we'll talk about how a lot of them, they all relate to each other, but they're not the same thing. And it's important that we identify the different bags so we recognize how they relate and how we can identify, oh, look, there's pain in bag 1, but the problem's probably in bag 4, or it might be in bag 5. So we're going to go through that. Here's the summary. I started my first business, 6th Division, when it was 6 weeks after my 5th child was born. I had 5 kids under the age of 8. We grew that thing to 7 figures in the first year, and then we grew it to multiple 7 figures. About a year and a half into that, I started my first software company plus this. We grew that thing to 7 figures and then into multiple 7 figures. Since I've launched a couple of other software companies, raised those kids. They were all in competitive sports. I like to play basketball. I coached high school basketball. I was married and I wanted my wife to still like me. I had a lot of things going on, and the only way that I managed all of that without going literally insane and getting overwhelmed was because I looked at my businesses through the lens that I'm about to share with you. So I'm just going to share with you what I believe the bags are and what worked for me and how I break things down. You might look at them and see it a little bit differently. If you don't have something else, it's like, oh, I like it this way better, then what I would suggest is just adopt what I'm going to share you and train yourself and practice looking at your business through the lens of Lego bags and remembering that pain and problem are not always the same thing. And I promise what you'll find is things will start to calm down. You'll feel less overwhelmed. Cool? All right. Oh, the other thing I was going to throw in here, I just want to make sure I remember this. This actually is also the reason why I started the YouTube channel. So this has a dual benefit of, as we go through this, it'll give you an idea of what kind of topics you can expect from the videos, because we're just going to cover the different aspects of the different bags. All right, let's jump to the drawing board now. And I got this little worksheet that I set up. So these are going to represent the bags, and I'll just label them what we typically call them in business. This is my little notes section so we can be clear about what is in each bag. And then these are my name tags, because I want to tell you what I like to name these things because it helps us build better versions. Summary is every business will have what I label these bags. Smooth scaling businesses will have what I put over here. Cool? All right, so let's jump in here. First and foremost at the top, let's make sure we're anchored in what is the job of our business. And the job of our business is to go out, get in front of people's eyeballs, turn some of those eyeballs into leads. Those are my email addresses I'm collecting. Turn some of those leads into prospects that raise their hand and say, yo, let's talk. Turn some of those prospects into sales, and hopefully turn all of those sales into smiles. That's what we're trying to do. All of these bags below it are what we have to go do. It's the work we have to do in order to make that happen better, okay? So here's the first one. Pretty obvious. It's your client journey. And your client journey is about producing these results. It's about producing smiles. It's about producing sales. It's about getting in front of people's eyeballs. As we go to do that work, the type of stuff, if we're talking about like, what are the pieces that go in this bag? What we're talking about is, what's your strategy? Big picture. What's your strategy? Second, which tech are you using? What is your automation? How are you making this thing systematic? And then the last piece would be the experience that you're delivering. This is getting into the details of what's happening in here. So the big picture, like what strategy? Are you doing webinars? Are you doing sales calls? Are you doing group coaching? Like what are you doing at a big picture? Is it coordinated? Is it sound? What tech are you using to make sure it happens? And then let's go look at the experience and make sure it's actually good. All right, so that's client journey. Now, client journey, again, every business has a client journey. If we're building a smooth scaling business, I like to upgrade the language. So what I call it is we're trying to build a happy client factory. Gets me clients, makes them happy, runs like clockwork. Okay, so we've got client journey. Second thing is we all have this thing called a team. Whether it's just you got some contractors, you got some part-timers, you got some full-timers, you got like a whole leadership team. We all have a team. And in this bag, the types of pieces that are in there, for me, when I look at it, are like my culture. What kind of people should be here? What are our habits? What are our routines? What do we do? What do we believe in? So it's defining the culture of who do we want to have here. Then it's the hiring process of how we actually vet people to get them there. And then it's also the leadership process of how we keep people moving, how we stay on top of people, make sure that they're doing their job, make sure that they're excited, etc. So we all have a team. Every business has a team. I like to look at this bag and I like to upgrade it. So what I call it is we're trying to build and install an A-player factory. So as we define the culture, it's which types of A players do we want? How do we hire A players? How do we lead and make sure that we keep them as A players? How do we turn away people that are not A players, right? So we want an A-player factory. All right, the next bag that I look at is, I call it ops. This is called how we get work done. So every business has to get work done. So in here, what we're talking about is, all right, well, what is our meeting and like communication rhythm? How do we stay in touch? What's the cadence of how we meet? Then there's how do we keep track just of, I call them business as usual tasks, like just the regular work that has to happen. How do we keep our finger on the pulse of that? And then we also have stuff like our projects, new projects, bigger projects that are sort of outside the scope of just business as usual. How do we keep track of that? So these types of things are operations. Like forget who the people are, forget what the client journey is. This is just about how do we get stuff done? Okay, now every business does ops. Every business gets some stuff done at whatever level of efficiency. I like to upgrade it and say that a smooth scaling business, what I'm trying to install in my businesses is a clockwork cadence. I like that, right? Clockwork cadence sounds a little bit better than just ops. Okay, so we've got client journey, team, ops, or happy client factory, A-player factory, clockwork cadence. Now, next thing is, well, we got to make sure we're doing the right thing. So this is where we get into vision. And when we look at vision, the types of Lego pieces that would be in this bag are things like, all right, so what is the purpose of our business? Like, why do we even exist? How do we get excited about this? Second would be, what's the plan or the model? What are we selling? When are we mathematically viable? Are we creating roles for our team that actually are realistic? Who are we going to hire and when are we going to hire them? Not which person, but which roles are we going to hire? When are we going to hire them? And then we've got stuff like, what's the future? What does the roadmap look like? Like what's coming down? It's the vision, right? Now, every business has a vision. What I say, and like to upgrade it, is if we want to build a smooth scaling business, we have to have a tactical vision where the vision is both exciting and inspiring with the purpose, but it's also viable and it's tactical. Most businesses, they end up either having a vision that's really exciting, but there's no plan behind it, or they're very tactical, but there's nothing exciting about it. We want a tactical vision. Okay, and then we get to the very last bag. At the very bottom of this is you, by the way. And in the case of my businesses, it's me, because here's the deal. I come back here for dramatic effect. Your business cannot outgrow your capacity to lead it. It's not possible. I have learned this from painful experience multiple times. So as we look at you down here at the bottom of the business, the type of Lego pieces that would live in this bag are things like, are you clear on the return that you want from this business? Like this whole business you're going to build, do you know what you want? I actually have a video that I've recorded about this. I'll link to it. You can check it out. Really, really valuable to get clear on what you want first, so that every decision you make in the business actually aligns to getting you what you want. It also comes down to your belief. As David Goggins says, building a calloused mind, that you are disciplined and that you believe that you can become whatever you need to become in order to build the business that will get you the return that you want. And then it also comes down to leadership and your ability to enroll other people in your vision to be able to go build the business that you want so you can get what you want, right? Now, every business has a you. Every business has an entrepreneur. When I look at this, again, I like to upgrade the language. So I say in a smooth scaling business, if I want to build a smooth scaling business, what I have to unlock inside of me is inside strength. So these are the 5 bags. You at the bottom, you have a vision. Your team has to get work done in some way. You've got to get good people on your team and then lead them. And then you've got to build the client journey that will actually convert. Those are the 5 bags, okay? Talked about some of the pieces that will be in each one of those bags. And here's the key. They're not the same. They relate to each other, but you is something you got to focus on completely separate from everything else. And then your vision is separate from you. It's also separate from ops. It's separate from your team. Okay? Your team is just about culture. It's about the people that you have on your team. Your vision is about the roles. When are you going to hire them? When does it make sense mathematically to hire them? Have you created roles that make sense? That is a vision thing. That is not a team thing. Operations is how you get work done regardless of who's on your team. It's just how you get work done and how the business runs. Your client journey is regardless of the people. It's regardless of how you get work done. It's regardless of the vision. It's just what are we doing, which tech are we using, and how are we creating amazing experiences so we can actually get people to convert. So when you recognize that these are the different bags, what happens is, one, when you're sitting down to plan, you can just do a quick audit. It's like, okay, well, what's weak? It's going to be one of these things. And again, what you're not doing is you're not sifting through a pile of 1,000 Lego pieces. Either you're the weak link, or your vision is weak, or your operations are weak, or your team is weak, or your client journey is weak. And maybe they're all weak, but you can only work on one thing at a time. So pick the thing that will have the biggest impact to move your business forward, and then go focus on that, okay? Now, one last thing that I'll say in relation to this worksheet is I drew it this way on purpose. I like to think of this like I'm building a wall, meaning this is the foundational layer. It supports everything above it. If this is weak, it will then undermine, to some degree, everything above it. Same thing here. A great vision cannot make up for or atone for a weak me. Now, if I've got this dialed in, but I have a weak vision, not tactical, or it's not exciting, it doesn't matter how good we operate. It doesn't matter how good the people are or how good the client journey is, because eventually these are going to start to fade. People, A players, will not stay with a weak vision. Okay? Or I had one where the tactics were off, my plan and my model was off, and the business was going nowhere and losing money not because we didn't have a good client journey, not because I didn't have amazing people, not because we didn't have great operations, because the vision was off. So here's your job. Should you choose to accept it, your mission is to start to, one, practice the muscle of looking at your business through the lens of Lego bags, number one. And then number two, do a quick audit and be like, all right, what are the weak links? Grade them. And then if I were to fix one thing and I were to upgrade one thing, what would have the biggest impact in the business? And then create a plan to go work on that. And what you can expect from me is, for the rest of the videos we cover, they're going to be different topics that cover how to create a better you, how to create a better vision, how to create better ops, how to create a better team, how to create a better client journey, et cetera, et cetera. And then I'll leave you with this. I would propose fairly strongly that you start to adopt this terminology, because language matters. The words that we use condition our brain for what we're looking for. And these terms, I chose them very intentionally. They actually set our sights on what we want. I don't just want a client journey. I want a happy client factory. I don't just want a team. I want an A player factory. Like, it produces A players. It keeps A players. I don't want just ops and to get stuff done. I want my business to run with a clockwork cadence. I don't just want a vision. I want a tactical vision that's airtight and solid. I don't just want like me and I'm kind of doing whatever and it's great. No, I want to unlock my inside strengths so that I can create the impact in the world that I was meant to create. All right, so hopefully this was helpful, okay? If you want a copy of this worksheet, I'll type it up rather than giving you chicken scratching. If you want a copy of this worksheet, here's how you get it. Go to smoothscaling.co/bags. Smoothscaling.co/bags. I'll put a link in the description and fill out the form on that page. I'll give you access to this worksheet, and I'll put you onto our Smooth Scaling newsletter. If you're like, yo, I'm good, I don't need that worksheet, but I do like the idea of being on that newsletter where I can get whatever other stuff you send that might not make it to the YouTube channel, then go to smoothscaling.co and you can just fill out the form there and we'll drop you onto the newsletter. If this video is helpful, two things, please. One, like the video, and then two, in the comments, post what did you like? What stood out to you? Were there any instant lessons where it's like, oh my gosh, did anything click that was like, oh, that's gonna be really valuable? What are you gonna go do based on this video? Post that in the comments. Super valuable for me to see, and I would love to hear what you end up producing out of this. If you have any questions that are like, Brad, that wasn't quite as clear as I thought it was going to be, or I got a question about whatever, post that in the comments. I monitor the comments. I would love to hear those questions so I can help clarify what it is that we're talking about. So I think that's it. If you want to get more stuff like this, then you want to subscribe to the channel and also go jump onto the Smooth Scaling newsletter list, because we send some stuff out there that won't make it to the channel. And I think that's it. So your homework, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is intentionally start to develop the ability to look at your business and see the bags that live underneath it. I've given you a template of what those bags can be. And then use those bags as a way to do an audit of your business, identify what might be off or what might be weak and what needs to be worked on. Pick the thing that if you worked on it, it would give you the biggest impact in your business, and then go do that thing. And then come back and do another assessment and just follow that process over and over. All right, that's it. Hopefully I'll see you either in the comments or I'll see you on the email newsletter. And if nothing else, I will see you in the next video. All right, have a good one.